Merry Christmas, everybody. How we doing? Happy holidays.
Judah, Josh, and Eric, what's their status?
Available.
Okay, all three are available.
Yep.
Okay. You talked before about guys taking on the role and clamping onto that role and how that's been a challenge of not a guy specifically doing that in terms of the vet minimum guys. What do you need to see from whoever those guys are to claim those spots for you?
Yeah, I mean, well, everybody has different skill sets. So, we want everybody in the team to star in their role, whether that's to be, a star player or to be a star defender or a star shooter, star rebounder, big man, whatever that may be. So, we want them to be able to star in their role.
Curious with Eubanks, I saw you talking with him during the last game. What do you want to see better from him tonight?
Yeah, well, we're going to have, this is a different game than the other night. So what was being asked of him the other night is different than, what he's being asked of tonight. Our group has to get better in transition and identifying matchups. I think that's the play you're referring to. And our whole group has to do that. But that's one of the things that, I was working with him on that segment.
Coach, we've talked a lot about Luka and the challenges of defending him, but what do you see from Dallas' supporting cast that has allowed him to do what he does so well?
Yeah, I mean, they're playing out of double teams most nights, and they have to find their spots and ways to be effective through those double teams. And obviously they're a seventh-ranked offense, even though he sees double teams on a nightly basis. So they're doing a good job filling out their part. Obviously Kyrie, being a big part of that, not being in there tonight, but Hardaway, being second in the league in points off the bench. Points per game off the bench. All those guys are filling in. I think Grant Williams and Exum have both been, big finds for those guys. They're big additions to their team this year. And, they're playing well.
And obviously with Eric, the 2 shots last game, he had mentioned you had talked to him about finding ways to get him more involved. What were those conversations like with a guy that's been around for a while, and how do you feel you can get him?
Yeah, he's a guy that, he's more a receiver, than run a bunch of plays for him. When the ball finds him, he's able to be effective and aggressive. And, we're just not moving the ball as well as we need to as a group, and then reading. It's really about reading defense. Where's the help coming from? Are we making good to great type passes? Are we playing paint to great basketball? We're not making the extra pass probably well enough. And I think that's the biggest reason, that the ball's not finding him as much. We're not involving him any less than earlier in the season. But, it's something that we want our whole group to just to move the basketball a little bit better.
Frank, have you talked to Matt Ishbia much during this recent stretch?
Yeah, I talked to him about every game, yeah.
Has he had like a certain message or something that he...
Win the next game. Yeah, he's been incredibly supportive. Obviously he talks through each game with me as a great, a knowledge of the game of basketball, and we're able to have discussions about the people that we're playing and the things that we're doing on the floor and what the results look like, and those conversations have been very productive and supportive.
When a team goes through a stretch like this, especially a team with expectations, obviously frustration is going to be natural. How do you address that, and how do you manage that collectively and with individual players?
Yeah, just a lot of individual conversations, a lot of group messaging about the cohesion piece. With a new group is very, very unpredictable. You know what I mean? Sometimes it takes flight right away. Sometimes it takes time. And especially when you have injuries slowing down the process. So preaching this sense of urgency through each game, through each practice, each time we're coming together to work. But also a big picture level of patience. Our guys have received that.
And you say cohesion. I would think like the extra pass stuff you're talking about is part of that. How do you see cohesion or lack of in the team?
Yeah, I mean, I think the first thing is, being able to communicate. To me, like the biggest thing is being able to communicate in transition defense when a speed break is attacking you. When you have new teammates, all over the floor, that's stuff that you got to get on the same page with, and that takes time. But it's also all the types of the double teams that KD and Book face. Where the other guys are supposed to be, and even when they're in the right spot, there's just a rhythm and timing piece, to when the ball is being delivered to them and all those types of things. But cohesion is all throughout the game. It's not just those two instances that I talked about. There's pick and roll coverages and switching coverages. I mean, it's really endless. So hopefully we can settle into a stable rotation here at some point. We're still figuring out what we have in our role players and how they fit, and all those things factor into it. And we're still remaining very confident that it's going to get going.
Coach, being without Jusuf for the first time in Sacramento, what are some of the things you noticed on film that you guys need to do better to make up for what he does?
Yeah, well, we struggle with the Sabonis matchup. That's the first thing that stands out when you ask that question. But Drew's played with our group all year. He's got to be better than he played in Sacramento. Udoka came in and showed us a little bit of what he can do, but he was new to everybody also. So there was playing with the new player elements to that game as well. And so just another game. We had some practice work yesterday where those guys can hopefully get a little more familiar, with their new roles. With Nurk being out, and hopefully it's better tonight.
I'm looking at when Nurk comes back, is Udoka someone who is, if he plays well tonight, maybe will establish, okay, you got to figure out a way to keep him on the floor, or?
Well, we'll see.
Okay.
We'll see how the game plays out, and we're evaluating everybody's roles. You know what I mean? Looking to find something that's going to click for us. We're not far away, and we're especially not going to be far away when Bradley Beal gets back to our lineup. So again, remaining very confident, and we'll look at all those things.
Coach, you've seen this kind of rivalry develop between Devin Booker and Luka Doncic, and now as being Devin's coach, how does it feel just to finally get to see this matchup firsthand?
Yeah, I mean, that stuff was all before I got here. This is the first time I'll see them head-to-head. But, not speaking for Devin, but just being around Devin just wants to beat whoever's in front of him tonight. He's not going to be caught up in, who that guy is or who that team is. We want to win tonight's game.